Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to a CI Chit Chat. Sorry, getting things rolling here this morning. My name is Mitchell. I'm the founder and CEO here at Continuum, and this is our CI Chit Chats, answering your questions. So put those in the chat, or you can hop off the line or hop on audio and ask questions as we go here. So setting the stage like we always do. CI is carbon intensity. We've got a whole bunch of different programs that we offer, helping farmers to get their CI score, which is done with the U.S. Department of Energy's Argonne GREET model. Then helping farmers actually get that score verified utilizing our CI certification program. CI certification is where we've got to get our scores verified, which happens field by field every year. So it's every field, every year, we're going to need to get this data really put together and organized. And the reason for all this, what's really driving it is the 45Z tax credit, brand new. It starts in 2 months, and we still don't have the rules. So that's, of course, the weekly update that we continue to inch closer and closer to January 1, and still no rules and no hard indication of when we're going to get rules. So it definitely annoying to say the least, but hopefully when the rules come out, hopefully they are conducive to farmers and are actually going to work. And this program could be absolutely amazing. And we're still banking on that, of course, that this is going to change ag as we know it, going to change biofuels as we know it, and going to drive more conservation adoption than anything else that we've seen. That's really what we care about. Is that, as a seventh generation farmer myself, I've seen the impact that adopting conservation ag on our farm has made. We've been using no-till since 1978. We've been using cover crops since 2013, and I'm seeing the resilience pay off, and seeing the profitability improve and the cost of production go down. Makes us a lot less susceptible to different global issues, and now I got the B. Makes us a lot less susceptible to global issues, to inflation, to trade issues, whatever it may be, to weather issues, by controlling our cost of production, by utilizing good soil health building practices to really set us up for ongoing success year over year. And I want that for more family farms. And I think they can get that by understanding how to logistically and economically adopt more conservation practices. And 45Z's got an amazing opportunity for us to really get there. So hopefully we get some of these rules out here soon. Main things that we continue to push for, and would encourage everyone else to keep pushing on those in DC, that we need to use the Argonne GREET model. It says in the law they're supposed to use a tool developed by the Argonne National Lab. They already have the GREET feedstock calculator. They already have these existing tools. They are already the gold standard. They already are being utilized. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Are they perfect? Far from it, but they are the best we've got. And in future renditions of these programs, we can improve over time, and we would love to help and bring farmers to the table, bring data to the table to improve the models over time. But we only have 2 months until this is supposed to start. And by not having the rules, all it's doing is stifling adoption of practices further, creating confusion, creating more lack of trust in the government, and allowing for our competitors, namely Brazil, to continue to whoop us and take our markets. So that's the reality of it. There's an even more dire situation. That there was an article that was went out, I believe, last week. I think it was the Clean Fuels Alliance, a group of biodiesel producers, and part of what's going on is the blender's tax credit for biodiesel, which right now biodiesel blenders just get a flat $1 a gallon. So it's a huge impact on biodiesel and the blending and utilization of biodiesel. There is no more tax credit for ethanol producers, like a blender's tax credit. They're not subsidized in that way at all anymore, just through RFS and some of the blending mandates. But there's no actual just hand out tax credit for ethanol anymore. For biodiesel, there has been, and it's $1 a gallon. Well, that goes away at the end of this year. Gone. $1 a gallon, gone. And it's supposed to be replaced with 45Z. That was the whole intent is, all right, we're going to get rid of your blender's tax credit that is just paying you $1 a gallon. And instead, we're going to incentivize you to decarbonize. And the lower you get your CI score, you can make up for that tax credit. And it maxes out at $1 a gallon. 45Z maxes out at $1 a gallon for ethanol, biodiesel, and renewable diesel. It maxes out at $1.75 for sustainable aviation fuel. But the soybean folks and the biodiesel folks now, because we don't have the 45Z rules, they're like, what are we supposed to do? Because our financials are going to be massively impacted here. And like, are we going to have 45Z? Is it not going to work out the right way? Are they going to screw it up by using bundles and rather than the GREET model, stuff like that? And so they wrote this article to Department of Treasury. I wrote a letter to the Department of Treasury last week saying like the implications here for American ag and biodiesel, it is like basically make or break for these folks. So amazing implications that this can have. Of course, implications on corn and on ethanol, but on the soybean side and the blender's credit, it is a big, big impact. And let's see. Hey, great question there, Nick. Okay, so sorry, reading the chat here, working off my phone, but so Nick put in the chat that he's been trying to figure out cover crops, trying to make them work, and it's not working out right now. Seeing the yield drag and stuff. Nick, would be happy to chat with you on that. Happy to consult you through that program. Some hot takes on it, and I don't know any. I would need to know a lot more details about the context of the operation and stuff. But a couple of quick hot takes that we found have been really helpful is using really light rates of cover crop. Meaning a head of corn, I like using like a total grass blend of like 45 pounds to the acre. And you could even blend that by utilizing like a blend of rye and wheat, or even just using wheat, winter wheat that will still overwinter, it'll still check the boxes, it'll still get you some good soil health building, but it won't take off as fast in the spring. It won't get out of control. It won't tie up as much nutrients and won't impede your corn crop as much. So winter wheat is something I would definitely encourage you to use, or you could blend in other stuff as well. So say maybe you're putting on rye right now, do a blend of rye with like some oats or rye with some wheat. Basically, it's you still got to get a full rate out there, and because that's what's going to be determined for the definition of what is a cover crop. We anticipate that they'll use the same definition that the government used for the 40B rules, which stated utilize your local NRCS definitions and local NRCS guidelines. And for example, here in Washington County, Iowa, that we got to use a minimum of 45 pounds to equal a full rate of cereal rye. And the whole point being is each geography has what's determined to be a full rate. And for Washington County, Iowa, and cereal rye, it's 45 pounds. But you could use 45 pounds of rye or use 35 pounds of rye plus like 10 pounds of wheat, or 30 pounds of rye plus a set amount of oats. I don't recall off the top of my head what that blend would have to be. But that's my quick hot take on what to do is light rates, blend in some other stuff. Definitely need to probably look at the fertilizer program and offsetting the carbon to nitrogen ratio issues is probably some of the issues that you're having if you're getting a yield drag. We experienced that at the beginning as well. A lot of farmers do. Cover crops and change into these things, it's tough. But there is dollars out there, and there's other programs too besides 45Z as well. So would be happy to chat with you on it. Maybe send me an email if you want, mitchell@continuum.ag. Another hot take on that too. Continuum started out as an agronomy consulting company doing fertilizer recommendations with the Haney test, doing regenerative ag consulting. We still do a little bit of consulting. If you're in our CI certification program, we charge just $3 an acre to be in our consulting program. We call it the Regen Roadmap. We hold your hand through the whole thing and walk with you side by side to adopt these practices and consult with you along the way. So if farmers are worried or having issues, we're happy to help you out and provide some consulting services there. But part of the point there also being, I encourage farmers to utilize cover crops this fall, utilize strip till or no till, utilize manure if you can get it, utilize stabilizers as a precaution if possible, because if they do go with a bundle or if they do go with some type of modified rules here for 45Z, it's likely going to be that some of those components are tied in. So keep that in mind, that the government's already indicated that they want cover crops, they want no-till, they want stabilizers. So I would just be banking on utilize those practices if at all possible here this fall to set yourself up for success. And we'd be happy to help you as you're looking at adopting those practices and need some additional support. This it all ends up back to where I started, which is we need to know what the rules of engagement are. We need to know the rules for 45Z. Obviously, it looks like Farm Bill. Nothing's going to happen there, which is also embarrassing in itself. But that's besides the point. Not knowing what the rules of engagement are just stifles our ability to actually implement our businesses and make decisions. And the financial implications here can be substantial. So it really stinks that just games being played and lack of, just get it done, follow the law, and make progress. So, and then of course the question's always, well, what's going to happen with the election? And luckily that's finally right about here, and hopefully everyone's gotten their vote in or planning on getting that done. The real answer is this has good bipartisan support. I'm being told that it's going to be fine no matter what happens with the election, but nonetheless, we know that it's not going to be Biden in the White House. Therefore, there's going to be likely different changes happening at USDA or at Department of Treasury. Things are going to be different, and that means the final rule makers, decision makers, are likely going to be different. And there's a lot of unknowns right now, so that's also adding to just the I think some of the delays that we're seeing as well. But again, the indication is that this administration wants to get the rules out before January. By law, there has to be things done by the end of this year. So in calendar year 2024, by law, I believe at a minimum, it's the emissions table, they call it. The emissions table has to be released by the Department of Treasury, and that has to be updated on an annual basis. It's laid out in the Inflation Reduction Act law around this 45Z credit. So we'll see if they can get it done and abide by the law. But that's really what's laid out in the statute, is utilize the tool developed by the Argonne National Lab, aka GREET. The tax credit is due to start on January for fuel produced on January 1, 2025, and that the emissions table has to be released before then and has to be updated on an annual basis. Some of the things that are very specific and laid out in the law. So we'll see what they do. Get out of here. So yeah, we will, we'll see. A couple other things that we are monitoring, maybe to kind of go a little bit different angle. We've got some opportunities for different carbon inset programs. And we've been dealing with carbon insets for a couple of years now, looking at different carbon credits, and it's completely different than the tax credits and CI that we're talking. It's general concepts, the same type of practices, the same type of data collection, same type of, you got to go through an audit verification, but the outcome is different in creating a carbon credit versus creating a low carbon commodity. And there's a bunch of these different programs, groups like Nestle, PepsiCo, ADM. They've been pushing on these type of inset projects for a while. So especially if you are newer to these practices, like the question there, if you've been adopting these practices in the last couple of years, there might be some other opportunities for us to help you get some money here too. Hopefully 45Z happens the way that we want. It looks like it's going to be by far the best money out there, but there are other programs. There's pretty solid money that can be made. It's most of them are in the realm of $20 an acre, $25 an acre. But for new adopters, if you just added these practices last fall, there's programs that are talking as much as $45 an acre. So pretty slick opportunities for farms, even beyond 45Z. So if you're newer to these practices, or trying to figure out how do you monetize your data and how do you make some money in this space, there is more out there than just 45Z. Although obviously we're very bullish on it and pushing hard on it, because the payment for the same type of practice could be way more with 45Z than with some of these other programs. Again, if the government uses the GREET model, and if they actually reward farmer innovation and each point of CI reduction. So, but yeah, if some of this stuff applies to you, definitely all for having that conversation and trying to help you out, trying to help you make some money. So, let's see. Other than that, definitely be getting those cover crops on and stuff, looking at different blends of stuff, adjusting for your fertility. I know we're making adjustments and stuff. We saw some of our yields this year that were amazing. Like my soybeans did the best they've ever done by like 10%, which was awesome. But some of our stuff was not amazing, which really stinks, because we saw some promise on the yield monitor, but it wasn't as consistent as we would like. And I think we got to make some adjustments here with some of our fertility, and again, using light rates of cover and some of the advice that I'd given before. We get a little too aggressive sometimes and trying to get too big of gains too fast. And it's just like in human health, it takes time if you really want to have long-term sustainable success. So important to keep that in mind. So as you're looking at adopting, make sure that you're baby stepping into this. Make sure you understand, to the best that we can, what those rules are going to be. And really it's looking at some of the local NRCS guidelines and go from there. Keep in mind, we're doing CI scores totally for free now. CI scores on topsoil.ag. They're free. We're using the full GREET model, the full feedstock calculator. A lot of other groups that are out there, they're running CI scores, which is awesome. We love that. Like we're seeing more and more people finally coming to the table. BASF just announced last week that they're jumping in. Some of these bigger groups finally realizing that, holy smokes, 45Z is 2 months away, and this is a big deal. Obviously we've been harping on it for 2 years now, but good that other people are finally catching on. But keep in mind that if you're getting your CI score, make sure you're getting the full score, the full feedstock calculator, not some modified version. Make sure you understand what you're getting there. So, and make sure it's in the right units and stuff too, and that you understand how to actually compare apples to apples and how to actually make the math work out the right way. So we've been really trying to figure that out and keep into the letter of the law until the rules come out, and if things change, we'll adjust to that. We do have a couple different webinars coming up here as well. So definitely be watching for those. The webinar next week's actually with kind of a different group called Global Farmer Network. It's a group that I am a member of. They represent farms in about 70 countries. And I went with them over to London here recently to just go and continue to advocate and network with other farmers and advocate for good ag policy and make sure that farmers have a seat at the table in these different discussions. So join us next week for that. Diane, I think, just put the link in the chat there so you can get registered. We've got our 50th CI Chat coming up. We've been doing this for a whole year now. So we're gonna have a special 50th episode here. We'll be announcing that soon. Also, we just published a new free report you can see that talks about data management and talks about the importance of data privacy and how farmers should be approaching data management and the importance of that. And it's just going to get more and more important to the farmers. You need to own your data. You need to know who's getting access to it. And some of these practices are going to create additional value for your data, but it's ultimately the data that creates the value. It can't just be hearsay. It can't just be, oh, sure, yeah, I checked the box and I'll sign whatever. You got to back it up. Just like in organics, it's got to go through an audit verification. That's what creates the level of rigor. And obviously there's bad actors and things that can happen. But if we want carbon intensity to actually be long-term and be something that can be built on top of, we've got to make sure that the level of rigor in the data is to the highest level. And so that starts now. Also, be thinking about managing your data for next year already too. So as you're planting cover crop this fall, as you're utilizing whatever tillage practices, manure, fertilizer, make sure that you're documenting all of that. Make sure that you're keeping good notes, keeping good records, because that data is really going to set you up for success for next year. So be thinking about making sure that you're keeping good records with your tractor and the monitor, taking pictures and stuff if you don't have a monitor, or even taking pictures anyway is another layer of information. Keeping your receipts, keeping either other written or digital records. And obviously we want you to choose topsoil. We'll help you to get all that data organized, make sure that's protected, that's owned by you, not shared to anybody, and that you get to have control over it. But nonetheless, manage good records here from the beginning. That's going to set you up for success as we go into 2025. So a lot of kind of ranting here from me this morning, and hopefully my audience has been okay. Getting packed up. I got to go down to Dallas here this week and running all over the place. Always trying to make this happen, and trying to get folks to understand how big of a deal this is, and understand that we need to get rules out. We need it done right. So would love to keep collaborating on that. We'd love to chat more on what our discussions with USDA and our discussions with folks in DC. Be pushing on those folks as much as you can. Their decisions are going to have massive implications. So keep on pushing on our policymakers that we need to get strong policy put together here, because farmers depend on it. The U.S. biofuel industry depends on it. Really critical inflection point that we're at right now, and we need everyone make sure that our policymakers know how big of a deal this is. So anyway, more to come. We get some indication of rules, because decisions are being made, and but prepare with data, implement the practices that you can. We'd love to help you out. Go understand what your CI score is and understand what's going to move the needle to set yourself up for ongoing success. So anyway, good luck out there. Hopefully everyone's getting harvest wrapped up, and it's been good for you. Enjoy the last of the nice weather while we've got it here too. So anyway, we'll see you next Tuesday, and we'll see you next week on our webinar as well. Appreciate it, everyone, and have a great rest of your week. Bye.